Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I got a really exciting show for you today. We're going to talk about deals, but we're going to talk about deals in a life cycle perspective. And not only that, we're going to talk about deals in a life cycle perspective of today's business. You know, this is man, it's already February. Gosh, where did January go? Anyways, let's welcome Matt Seamus back to the show. How you doing, Matt?
I'm great, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing very well, man. I could not believe we are already in February, in darn near middle of February. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was simultaneously for our family the longest February or longest January that I've ever experienced. And like, I can't believe we're already in a week into February. You're right.
All right, you've already teased us. Why was it the longest January for you and your family? I just
Well, we're
got to
moving.
ask.
Yeah,
Moving.
we're moving, but we got a few things going on. My wife is pregnant, so with our third, so she's due in April.
Okay.
So she's third trimester, starting to kind of feel it slow down a little bit. And she's got a 4-year-old, a 4.5-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old, both rowdy, energetic boys to deal with.
Yeah.
So we got that. And then we're moving, which is always just a burden and a hassle, but we're excited.
Yeah.
So moving days tomorrow.
Well, congratulations to you and your wife on your third. I did not know that. Yeah, that's third trimester. Yeah, that's tough. So do something nice for her.
Yeah. Thank you. I will.
You got it. So let's talk about deal sourcing. This is something you and I talked about real quickly. I want to paint the vision of today, right? 2020 February. What's going on? We both have been very clear in past interviews that we think the market is closer to the top than the bottom, but we still got to do our thing, right? You don't sit on your hands. Deals are still out there. You got to be a little more creative and dig a little harder. So let's talk about what it means to dig a little harder. Why don't you start, Matt, and just highlight, how many deals in your inbox today? What's it, how many things do you have to sniff at to even think about going to the next level of deal analysis?
Well, I think we are over 100 deals probably that we look at before we have one that we are really, really pursuing. And we may not even purchase a property that we're truly, really pursuing. So right. I don't know the exact numbers. We're not sophisticated enough to keep track of things in that way. But we look at a lot of deals. I probably have 30 plus deals in my inbox right this moment. And that's after, this is Thursday, that's after many, many instances of clearing things out and setting deals into different categories earlier in the week. So we look at lots and lots of deals. Part of what makes it the number even higher for us is we are not constrained to a particular market. We're also not constrained to a particular asset class. So, and again, we've talked about this. There's pros and cons to that approach. One of the cons is that, man, we have to look at a lot of different things in order to find something that we like. And there's switching costs too. Like I'm looking at a 25,000 foot flex industrial space in Boise, Idaho. And then the next deal I look at might be a 337 unit heavy value add multifamily deal in Huntsville, Alabama. So there's a little bit of switching costs that I incur, but we look at lots and lots of deals, and the only ones that we pursue are the ones that that we are personally excited about, because we're putting our own money into every deal that we do, Dan, my partner, and myself. And so we need to be really excited about the deal, and we need to be ready to go put our blood, sweat, and tears into it when, once the deal closes. So a lot of it is gut checking. Does this pass our criteria? And we can maybe, I'd love to hear your answer, but then after that, maybe we can get into what's the criteria look like? How do you filter things out? That kind of thing.
You got it. Yeah. As for me, again, I've been doing this for nearly 20 years. I am very focused on either single family homes or multis, as we've talked about. So I don't have the switching costs. Also, mainly today, I mean, let's just be honest. In February 2020, I'm not even looking at multifamily. They are so ridiculously overpriced, at least in my market, that it's been 6 months at least since I gave any serious time to multifamilies. It's that overpriced. But even in single family homes, right? One market, one asset class, and I'm not even talking duplexes through quads. I am talking single family only. I look every day still. I probably look at well over 100 properties. I mean, in 100 properties, I might find 2 or 3 to make offers on. But again, I'm making offers on that make my numbers work, which usually means I'm 20 to 30% under asking price.
Yeah.
Which in a hot market like we are today means I get a counter probably 1 in 20.
Yeah.
Right. So it is, and these numbers are not normal. This is back to, for my market, this is back to 2005, because I've seen this before. It's like 2005, except it's probably even worse because inventory is at a record low, right? Record since 1982, which was the first year they ever counted. And we have a lot more people and a lot more houses since 1982. So people got to realize you got to put in a ton of work today. You have to learn your market. It's really the only thing I teach. It allows you to find or create good or great deals. And yeah, it's an interesting market. So that's what I'm seeing.
Do you have a local realtor that you use to write all your offers?
I have several. I probably have dozens. And most of that is because most of the good ones in Fresno have asked me, what's your criteria? And of course, I'm going to invest the time in educating them what I think is the right thing, because then they can be feet on the street and call me when they think they find something. So,
yeah.
But when in doubt, if I don't know anyone, I have 2 or 3 agents that I go to and say, hey, write this up. And they do it for me very quickly. In rare instances, I'll go to the listing agent and, tell the story about double ending and all of that. But that used to work a lot in the down market. It doesn't really work today. I'm seeing.
Yeah. The reason I asked is I remember when I was doing a similar model to you with single family home, you highlighted one of the challenges, which is it is a bit of a numbers game. You're going to need to make a lot of offers, and the offers are going to be sometimes a little bit embarrassingly low. And so I found that it can be challenging sometimes with particular realtors to cross that bridge, and for them to understand that like they're going to need to write 15 offers for you to get one deal. So I was just curious how you manage that.
Yeah, the good news is that I've done hundreds of transactions at this point and made some people some very good commissions. So they've learned that I'm a producer, right? I don't lock something up and back out. So actually one gentleman this year said, "Oh my God, I got to deal with you. It's been 40 offers." I'm like, "Sorry, it's a different market now."
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. So let's go back to you, right? So you're looking at 100 things. You got 30 deals in your inbox. You're not constrained by geography or asset type. I mean, that just hurts my head to say, because you're right, switching costs and opportunity costs and time. But what are some of the things you're really looking at? So, let's just say you got 100 things that cross your desk in a week. What is 1 or 2 things that you look at going, ooh, I'm going to cherry pick that one and dig a little deeper? What are the things you look for?
Well, this also depends. There's different criteria based on the asset class and the market. Because we have different hypotheses for different asset classes and different markets. I'll give you an example. We think, so agree with you that multifamily is just pretty dramatically overpriced in almost all instances. Sellers want really high prices. We can't figure out a way to make that pricing work as a buyer.
Yep.
And multifamily is, to me, the purest way to make a bet on population growth in a particular area and income growth and job growth. As populations increase, the supply of housing in a particular area is outweighed by demand. That's a good thing if you own property. And as jobs increase, more people need housing. And as incomes increase, housing prices and rental rates increase. Those are all good things for a landlord.
Yep.
So one of the other ways that we determined we wanted to make a bet, since pricing is out of whack on multifamily, we look at another way to make a bet on the same kind of fundamentals of a market. So medical office properties is one example. So as
Ah,
people move into a region and the population grows, they need more and more medical services. Dentists, orthodontists, physical therapy, dermatologists, anything that is in the wellness or health kind of medical space.
interesting.
And so the interesting thing about this asset class is there are a lot fewer investors looking at medical office than there are looking at multifamily.
Oh yeah, it's probably 1,000 to 1,
Yeah.
probably.
So in multifamily, we might look for different. We're going to look for different criteria. In medical office, we might look for. Well, we need to get this at maybe a mid 7 cap, maybe a 7.5 cap, and feel like we have some upside.
Okay.
So we just bought a property that fit pretty much that criteria. We bought it at about a 7.5 cap,
Mm-hmm.
and we have upside because there's about 20% of the space that's not occupied.
Ah,
And that was a result of just an inexperienced owner. There's nothing wrong with the property. It just needs proper attention.
okay.
So that's a criteria that we would look at to know really quickly. So if the property is being listed at a 6 cap, and it's 100% occupied and fully stabilized, it's a quick pass for us.
Okay.
We know we can't do anything there. We need to be able to add some value, and we need to be able to have a high enough cash flow going in
Yeah,
that we can meet our return profile.
I like that. So I'm just curious. So medical office, I've never looked at it, so this might be really stupid questions. But is that something that you have to, I don't know, pre-configure or pre-build out, or do you just supply an empty room and it's the tenant's responsibility to kind of put in the equipment? I have no idea.
Can go either. There's no rule. Generally, the landlord is going to be responsible for some amount of tenant improvements.
Okay.
Medical space, as you can imagine, tends to be among the most expensive to build out.
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, you have the infrastructure, you have the plumbing requirements, and then all the actual fixtures and things like that that are just more expensive. But what that means is oftentimes the medical tenants pay a higher rental rate.
Sure.
And they're very sticky. They stay around for a long time.
Yeah.
Think about your dentist.
Yeah.
Once they establish a practice, it is expensive for them to leave. Even if they move 2 miles down the road,
Yeah.
some of their client base will not follow them there. And so they want to stay put.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that we look at and make decisions based on. But yes, you're going to have to budget as a landlord some money to put into improving the space for a tenant that moves in.
And I'm curious. So one more, again, potentially silly question. Let's say do you ever go in and just buy a blank building, right? It was built by some ground up developer. It's 10,000 square feet. It's, I don't know what that would be, 50 rooms. I have no idea. And then you actually go in and go, oh my God, I want to put a dentist or a practice in here, and I have to go rip up the concrete and put in new plumbing and all of that. Or are you buying stuff that's already had some of that work done? I have no idea how you would evaluate stuff like that.
Well, we're opportunistic, so we don't immediately say no to anything.
Okay.
We have bought a vacant building before.
Okay.
Bought about a 40,000 square foot vacant property. Wow. But it had a very specific hypothesis, and that was that the location was prime, and that the land was actually worth more than what we paid for the building. So the vacancy ended up not really being a factor. Now, interestingly, we've gone full circle in that we bought this property for the land, but now we are in contract to sell it to a user who's going to renovate the actual building.
So let's talk about that deal a little bit. So where'd you source the deal, right? Because again, a vacant commercial building, I'm guessing you sourced it. I'm guessing that wasn't on LoopNet, but now that I've said that out loud, I could be wrong.
Well, so we have some pretty strong relationships in a few markets. Huntsville, Alabama is one of them.
Okay.
And we have, it just came through a relationship that we had there.
Yeah.
And this happens to be through a kind of a full service real estate firm in Huntsville that is a father and son team, and then they have probably, I don't know, 15 other people in their office.
Okay.
And they have developed a couple million square feet of office and mostly office space in the market. They know it extremely well.
Yeah.
And so it came through them, and yeah, it required. So one of the interesting things is there can be instances where great opportunities will fly under the radar of the wise, experienced investor in a local market.
Yeah.
I think the reason is once you get really good at what you do, you narrow your box of criteria, and you may miss opportunities that other people that have fresh eyes and a fresh perspective see. And that's honestly exactly what happened in this case.
Okay.
Is this was just a little bit outside of the box for some people in that market.
Okay.
But it's going to turn out to be a really good deal for us.
Well, let's just put a pin in it. So when did you buy it? Again, 40,000 square feet. That's, I'm guessing, single level or multi-level. I mean,
it is a total of 3 stories, but the building is phased. So there's parts of it that are 1, parts of it that are 2, and parts of it that are 3 stories.
All right. And you picked this up when? What year?
We bought this we bought it pretty much almost exactly a year ago. It was January 2019.
Okay. And what have you done in the building in 12 months?
0.
Really?
0 to the building. What we've done is we got the property rezoned. We got it rezoned and entitled for development, which was the valuable part. We are the city of Huntsville they published a master plan.
Mm-hmm.
This property is highlighted in the master plan as a key node for redevelopment. They also passed a new ordinance to accommodate this parcel and others like it. We are the first parcel to be rezoned under this new zoning. So we're the only parcel in town that has this new zoning.
So let's just play it out. So you bought it for $10 a square foot. The rezoning immediately probably doubled or tripled the value, and now you're going to flip it. That kind of the story?
Yeah, I can give you real numbers. We bought it for $875,000.
Oh.
The appraisal when we purchased it came in at $1.65 million.
So wait a second. So you bought it for $875, which is, what is that? $20 a square foot?
Your math is better than mine on the fly. I'll trust you.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's $20. It's cheap, right? Basically the building had no value.
Yeah, it's around there.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And it's vacant.
And then the appraisal gets done as a vacant building, probably for rebuild cost.
The appraisal was for land value.
Really, just land. So the building was 0 or negative value.
Yeah, it was simply land. Wow. Land basis.
Wow. Okay. All right. So it appraised at 1.6. Sounds like a really safe loan. That's crazy. You do nothing to the building except go through a bureaucracy process to rezone it. It comes out when? When did it get finally stamped or approved?
So backing up, and I know this wasn't the direction maybe that we were expecting to go, but backing up, this was an introduction for us into development and the many challenges and the non-linear nature of it.
Oh yeah.
So this is about a 4-acre parcel. It's on a corner. And we actually, once we were in contract, we put into contract an adjacent 12 acres.
Ah, smart.
So we had 16 contiguous acres in contract.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention was for us to do a large mixed-use development with a parking structure that was already in negotiation with the city. It was a massive deal. Okay. During our due diligence, we learned about an environmental issue on the middle parcel.
Okay.
Which we ended up causing us to pass on that middle parcel. Okay. So now that we passed on the middle parcel, it blows up the concept of the 16-acre development. So now we revert back to contingency plan for this property.
Yeah.
So the beautiful thing is when you feel like you have a contingency plan that is still going to be highly profitable.
Yeah.
And that's what we felt like we had right from the start. And you know, we're in negotiation. We're not in contract yet, but
Yeah.
that's kind of where we are. So yeah, we didn't do anything physical to the property. We got it rezoned, which added value, and then we marketed it in a way that we thought would attract, you know, the right buyer.
Very, very cool. So you're looking to get out of this at over 2?
Yeah, it'll be right around probably 2 million.
Yeah. Not a bad deal for 12 months.
No. We could take, if every deal looked like that, we'd be very happy. Now, there's no cash flow, right? There's no cash flow. I want to just be clear about like these deals are not for the faint of heart.
No, you've been carrying that thing for 12 months.
You carry it for 12 months. You got vacant building. You've got lots of unknowns with rezoning. You have unknowns with where the market is and where it's going. Yeah. And so there's risk for sure, but we felt like we understood what that risk was.
Very, very, that's awesome. So let's go back to the kind of intent of this episode. So let's actually play with that deal a little bit. So when your network brought it into your circle, right? Top of funnel. Hey, I got a vacant building for you in Huntsville, Alabama. It's 40,000 square feet. Probably says something like, oh, by the way, Huntsville's just rezoned it. Check it out. Or master plan or whatever it's called. Probably that's how it starts. Then you dig in, you and your partner dig in, validate what was told to you. How long between the phone call, or email, I'm guessing was a phone call, and you writing your first offer? What was that? Was that like 2 or 3 weeks of due diligence? Did you fly out there before you wrote the offer, or did you write the offer first? What was that like?
We did not go visit the property physically before we wrote an offer.
Makes sense.
And so we knew the location, we knew the property broadly, but no, we did not physically see it before we made the offer. We probably spent a month after learning about the opportunity before we made the offer.
Okay. So you're into this 30 days now, because that's time. You don't get that back. It's still available, right? Somebody could have scooped it up inside 30 days, right? Potentially.
Yep.
Okay. So now what did it come to you at? Did it come to you at 875 or some other number?
No, it came, I want to say it was like 1.2 or 1.3 million.
All right. So you do your due diligence. It's vacant. So the owner's got a problem. At least, yeah, he's got a problem. I know he's got a problem. What was your first offer?
I think it was 825 or 850.
All right. So it wasn't far off. So, okay. So you make an offer, he counters, you agree. It's kind of how this one went, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Then do you get on a plane and go out there and see this thing?
So here's what happened is we made an offer, and then I got a call from our point of contact, and he said it like hours later, the same day. And he said, hey, I think if you come up to 875, this is a done deal. And I was surprised. I was like, wow, I did not expect that.
Right. Exactly.
So it was a good reminder of you can't overpay for something. You need to stick to your criteria and make it work at a particular number, even if it's a lot less than what they're asking. You need to stick to that number. I'm going through another negotiation exactly like that as we speak. So it was a good reminder.
Yeah, list price is just that. It's a starting point. I tell people all the time, learn your market. Your only job as an investor, at least in my areas, is to find good or great deals. Yeah. Most deals are bad or average. Those are uninteresting to me. I want to go search out the little jewels because I only need to do a few to be okay. Yeah. Right? I don't need to do thousands like these people. Oh my God, I did 100 deals this month. You're freaking crazy. I don't want to do that. I mean, that's insane. So, okay. So now you lock it up, 875.
Yeah.
You spent a month. You write an offer. It gets in contract the day you write the offer, right? Quick negotiation. From deal lockup to closure, how long was that?
We had, if I remember correctly, I think we had a 90-day due diligence period.
Which makes sense for a vacant building, yeah.
Yeah, we try, especially on hairy commercial deals like that, we try to have as long of a inspection period as we can. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of things we need to know. Yeah. We need to make trips out there. We don't, we don't have a direct flight. There's just lots to do.
Yeah.
And so, 90 days helps us tremendously, and it goes by quickly.
Oh, no. Yeah, no kidding. I am curious, how much do you think you spent between deal lockup and deal closure? Because the deal could have fell apart at any point. I'm guessing, let me just guess, 15 grand.
Yeah, more than that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because lots of reports and all of that you had.
Yeah, maybe between 15 and 30.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cost of doing business. That's why you have that big filter up front, because there's evaluation costs.
Yeah, and on the deal that I told you, which was next door, which we did environmental studies on to try and understand the condition of the property, and we ended up bailing on.
Right.
We probably spent 30 grand on the environmental work alone.
Yeah.
Which resulted in us saying we can't proceed.
Yeah.
So that 30 grand goes away.
Gone. Yep. No, that's again, you got to have a stomach for this, right?
Is money well spent?
Yes.
Money well spent, because now we know that I would much rather spend 30 grand and know that this is not the right deal than not spend the money and get into something and we're in a real big pickle.
Yeah. Very, very cool. All right. So 90 days go by uneventful, or did you have to go renegotiate, or anything surprise you other than the middle deal?
Renegotiate. We try not to.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah.
We try to get as much information as we can up front and come to a price that we're comfortable with and close at that price.
Good.
If we find something unknown previously, we will retrade or ask the seller to come down a little bit, but we try not to make that. That's not a habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we close at that price.
Okay.
And so what happens after we get? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You're doing good.
Well, what happens is after we get into contract, then our process is we start our due diligence. So we need to go answer all the unknown questions about the property so that we get comfortable with it. And then once we feel like we know the story and understand the risks, we put together our investment summary, which is what we share with our potential investors.
Okay.
And it summarizes the deal, what the return profile, what we think the returns are going to look like, how long we expect to hold it, what debt we're going to use, basically everything you would want to know about the deal as a passive investor.
Okay.
And then we share the deal with passive investors, and then we collect we collect the capital from those investors and then close it.
So the 90-day process, probably around day 40, 45 is when you're feeling good. You're like, okay, we need to go outline the debt structure, look for passive investors, kind of that time frame.
Yeah, I think, it's a little bit fluid. It depends on the deal. It depends on how confident you are that things are going to come back clean. And it also depends on how much time you think you need to go raise the money.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, typically, as soon as we know we're buying the deal, we want to go get it out in front of people.
Yeah.
But you need to know what you have before you can share it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And then what kind of debt structure you put in place on an 875 vacant building, 4 acres? I mean, you doing 50% of purchase price first,
it was about, I think it was even less than that, because we actually thought about just buying it in cash.
Okay.
But what we decided to do was put some debt on it, and the bank was interested and engaged because of the appraisal, and it was so much higher than our purchase price.
Yeah, I mean, the appraisal was 1.6 on an 8 purchase, and if they're going to loan 4 or 5, shoot, that's pretty safe.
Yeah, and they knew the location, and they knew what was happening in that location. And since we bought this, not only did we get it rezoned, but a lot of what's happened around the location has improved the value. The state of Alabama announced that they are building a $150 million charter school across the street.
Oh, darn. Don't you just hate when that happens?
So this is the best and the brightest of cyber and engineering students from the state are going to be room and board studying here.
That's pretty cool.
That's helpful. Like there's several things like that happened that we didn't have control over, but we had vision into likelihood.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, the person that's likely buying this, either the person that's looking at it now or someone else, what are they going to do to it? Are they going to make it apartments? Are they going to make it office? Do you have any idea what you think they're going to do with it?
There's two possibilities. We're in negotiation with one party right now, and so they're going to come in. So actually, the property was originally used as a school, private. So it's built out to be a school. You could convert it into office space relatively easily.
Sure.
So if you're going to use the existing building, I think, and the location is good for office.
Okay.
Office or another school would be great for the actual building. But to me, the value is really in the land and redeveloping it. And that I think it can be a number of different. So the other thing we spent money on is putting together, is paying an architect to put together several site concepts and renderings of what we could build on this site. So we have several of those. That's part of our marketing package. I think the highest and best use would be a hotel and probably a retail out parcel, maybe a full service restaurant, and a couple other little retail spots right up on the corner. And the hotel is important just because there's so much business travel in this city, and they're with the school going in across the street. You're going to have year-round demand for families to be right next to their children that are at the school. So I think a hotel is a great play there. And the other thing is hotel developers generally can afford to pay a little bit more for
Very cool. I think that's exciting. So why don't we try to wrap this up? So what would you say 2020, again, February, that still hurts my head to say. This is, what do we call this? Not a normal market. Is that fair to say? I mean, if you go back and look at what you were doing 2 or 3 years ago, you were probably looking at half the deals to make an offer on something, right? This market's pretty stretched. And by pretty stretched, it also means pretty risky. It's very easy to make mistakes today, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. We're getting more and more conservative.
Yeah.
I think I'd find it harder to do this deal we just talked about today, even.
Yeah.
Which is partially why we're excited about selling it. We just feel like we don't want to hold this for too much longer.
Yeah.
So we're getting more conservative, and we are getting a little bit pickier.
Yeah.
And we're okay with a lower return profile, lower upside, if it is partnered with very little downside. The downside is much more important for us.
Amen. I've told people my entire life, all I worry about is controlling the downside, because the upside will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right, buddy. This has been a lot of fun. I wish you the best of luck. Good luck moving tomorrow. That's always fun. And
thank you. Appreciate it.
Go buy the wife some flowers or chocolate or whatever she likes.
Yes, good advice.
All right, buddy.
All right, Michael. Thanks, man.
Uh-huh.